Wrestling Show, NorthJerseySports.com's original multimedia series talking all things wrestling across North Jersey. This is the granddaddy show of all NorthJerseySports.com multimedia presentations. Back for its 8th year. This is Season 8, Episode 1. I am Corey Doviak, being joined by most of my illustrious panel of North Jersey and New Jersey wrestling insiders. We are missing one, Pascack Valley head coach Tom Gallione on baby duty tonight, so he will make his season debut next week. But we have plenty of experts left, starting with the co-host, the great one, Kenny Sarajan. What's going on, Kenny?
Back on the wrestling show. Let's get going. We got a great guest. We got to talk about what's coming up this year. Bergen Catholic's drive for number one, and the top team. Let's go. We got a new guy with us, but we got Donnie, and that's what matters.
We do have Donnie. But he goes last because he needs the big, long introduction and the build-up. We have to keep him happy. You mentioned we have a new guy in the chair. Now, listen, he's been a contributor over the years. We've always been happy to have him, but grabbing a permanent slot here on the wrestling show is North Bergen assistant coach Ryan Burdett. Ryan, are you ready for a year of full duty here on the great wrestling show?
Absolutely. Couldn't live without it.
And that brings us...
I'm too excited.
Yeah, come on. It's the wrestling show. Season 8, Episode 1. But you want real excitement, Kenny? We got the guy to bring it to you. He is the trainer of champions. He is the Pope of Bergen County Wrestling. He is Bergen Catholic assistant coach Dominic Spataro. Donnie, I missed you over the off season, pal. How are you?
Gentlemen, it's great to be back. New season, new year. Looking forward.
Yeah, and you've already hit the ground running here. You had the Bergen Catholic Crusaders down at the Beast of the East tournament in Delaware. We're going to talk a lot about that, and we're going to do it with our guest this evening. We're going to have Nick Kayal, the 106-pound sophomore from Bergen Catholic, who actually won the Beast over the weekend. So he's going to be our guest for tonight. We'll get to him a little bit later. But, Kenny, many other things on the agenda this evening. Why don't you give us a little rundown of what's to come here, and then let's jump into this conversation.
Well, I want to first let the people know a little bit about Ryan so that they know who he is. Ryan wrestled at Westwood High School for one of our other guys, Mike Atanasio. He's part of that Westwood Cardinal Wrestling. He's now an assistant coach at North Bergen, and we're lucky to have him. And we're going to break Ryan in the right way with the question that we ask all new people on our show. Ryan?
Yes, sir.
Every wrestler remembers their last match. Ryan, what was your last match?
Good one, Kenny.
This is the one question that sent somebody who we can't say his name anymore into therapy for years.
In fact, Ryan Burdett is sitting in the chair that was formerly occupied by that former co-host.
So, nameless.
Yes. So, Ryan, how did it wrap up for you?
My last personal match?
Yes.
Yeah.
In high school?
Yep.
This ain't hard. This is the simple question.
Oh, man. My last personal match was senior year. I lost to a kid from Pascack Hills.
In
what? In the districts?
Yeah, the districts.
Who was it against?
It's a great question. I don't remember his name. Todd something. Maybe Todd Schneider. I could be guessing.
Oh, wow. And what was the score?
I got cradled. I got pinned.
Oh.
What round of the district?
Third, fourth.
So you got cradled in the match to go to the regions?
Yeah, but I was in I had a decent year. But no good. No good.
Oh boy, Ryan's going.
Kenny,
All right.
I think that makes it a clean sweep. Everyone we've asked, it always ends in a loss. There's no other way.
No, my last match was the win. I won third place. Anyway, let's get back to wrestling. All right, guys, I'm going to start with this question, and we'll go Donnie first and then Ryan. Guys, tell me, now we know Bergen Catholic is wrestling a national schedule, and we'll talk more about Bergen Catholic later. But other than Bergen Catholic, who do you guys give me 3 teams each that you think are teams that people should be watching this year? Donnie first.
For the BCCA tournament, or just in itself?
No, just this year. We're talking about preseason. Who are you looking at this year? We're not worrying about BCCA yet. We'll do that next week.
Yep.
I mean, I think EPR has got to be the hands-down favorite. They return almost the whole team. They're led by the Mazzios and nationally ranked Nick Babin, and they got, from what I understand, they got a really balanced lineup right now. And they had a wrestler who wrestled 2 years ago. He's a running back, second-team All-County football player. He came back out this year for wrestling. He didn't wrestle last year. So
what's that name? I saw him play football. He's very good.
Ryan Shore is his name.
Shore. Yeah. Kid was
and he's about at 160, 170. He's around there. He's a great athlete. So from what I've been told and listening to people, they seem to be the team to beat around the area this year.
Okay, we'll give Ryan a chance.
And I'll tell you what,
and
we said nothing about the BCCA, but if you think about it, they could be the first Group 1 school ever to win the overall team title this year at the BCCA.
Because the Bergen Catholic Crusaders will be previously indisposed. Not going to be there this year. I mean, you guys are wrestling the national schedule. And
well, you know what it really comes down to, guys? It really comes down to match limit. So, I mean, some of our guys had 8, 9, 10 matches over the weekend. That's 1/3 of the season gone already the first weekend. And we're going to the Doc Buchanan, and you get in wrestlebacks there. You're going to have 6, 7 matches, 8 matches. Depends if you lose and how far back you wrestle. So, and then we have the dual meet part of the season with a lot of nationally ranked teams. So it'd be very hard to pick and choose, and you got to sit this one and that one, and it's not right for us this year with the national schedule that we have.
Yeah, and I think it is right for you.
And that's the real reason why it'd be hard for us to enter. We just can't swing it and chance it with all these kids with all these matches, and then we come across one of the nationally ranked teams, and we'd have to possibly sit somebody if we have too many matches. So we just don't want to be in that situation. Yeah, that's what it really comes down to.
And I think it's the right thing too for the tournament as well. With the team that you guys have, and the doors open for other people. So I think it works out both ways for sure.
I'm sure.
Yep. Ryan.
All right, Ryan, give me a team, and then I'm coming back to Donnie for another team. Go ahead, Ryan. Who should we be watching?
I'll go with the guy that we're missing out on a little bit tonight. I'll say Paul Castellini and Mike Adanazio's Westwood team. They're they got a couple of hammers down bottom. I know they have some depth there too. At 6, 13, and 20, they got 3 kids sitting out of the lineup right now who are just about good enough to be in any small school lineup. They got their returners at 26 and 32 and 38. And they got some depth in the middle and up top. So for what they're going to see in the state sectionals, which is a tough state sectional, I think they're ready to go this year. And I think they have another year under their belt of experience. And I think the depth is going to be the big thing. As we all know, it's not the same 14 that go on the mat every week, every duel. So I think that's going to help a large amount. And I think the Cardinals, it's their year this year.
Kenny, before you ask Donnie another question, I want to jump in quickly. And we're missing Tommy tonight, and it's a shame at this point because I think, and maybe it's even better that we can talk about Tommy where he's not going to get embarrassed and clam up here. But we've watched Pascack Valley build, you especially close, but me on the phone with him every Monday night, and I know he's been building something over there. It's taken a while. You could feel the momentum really start last year. And I think Pascack Valley is going to be a pretty good public school team this year. You're in the building. Do you agree with that? And maybe speak highly of Tommy so we don't have to do it to his face next week.
Well, you know what? The thing I like about his team, and I think it goes along with Westwood too, and I was trying to get Ryan to talk about Furman and a couple of the other kids just so we give them some publicity to talk about, like Donnie talked about the Emerson kids. But Tommy's got, if you look at Tommy's team, he's got some really outstanding wrestlers who've worked hard all year. And these kids are a nice bunch of kids. He's got Matt Byer. He's got Tommy Cellini. Those are the people everybody's going to be looking at. He's got a young kid named Pizzi, who's a freshman who won the Lakeland tournament. I mean, it's no secret they went to the Lakeland tournament. They won the Lakeland tournament. They had 6 guys take first, 1 take second, and I think 3/3. He's got Casey Lewis, who was a district champ last year, went to the regions. So he's got those. You know what? When you look at a lineup, and I think Donnie and Ryan as coaches will agree with me, and Donnie's in a little different situation with Bergen Catholic, but if you go back to the days when he was at Emerson Park Ridge, as a coach, I always knew I needed 5 guys who 9 times out of 10, when I put them on the mat, they were going to win. I had to know that. And then what I needed was 4 guys who 75 to 60% of the time they were going to win. And then I needed a couple guys who would pull in for me, and, I could pick one here if I move things around. That's what you need in balance. And so while we can talk about the guys that Tommy has that are the names that everybody's going to know, or the guys that Paul Castellini has that are names everybody's going to know, what you need is those other guys. And one of the things I see with Tommy's team, and we're close with Paul, Ryan knows that, so we see it with Paul's team too, is you've got those other guys who every night they're going to go out and give you something, and it gives you a balanced lineup. You're going to be competitive at every weight class. And these kids that Tommy has, I've watched them wrestle. I actually took the JV team the other night, and I'm really just impressed with the way they wrestle, the way they want to learn, and the way they're paying attention to them. And I think that, I don't know how Ryan and Donnie feel about that, but that's what I like to see in any team that's starting to make its move. And guys, you want to comment on that, Ryan and then Donnie?
It's funny you should bring that up, because I've always spoke about that over the years. It's not so-called your studs that are going to win you the match. It's that kid that may be on that one day wins you that one special match that you need. That maybe he's a middle of the road type of wrestler. Maybe take third in the district or whatnot. But that's usually the kid that could win you a big match along the way. And that's why when you have kids that are in the room that maybe aren't starting at JV kids, if you can just develop one kid, that group of JV kids, that kid down the road for you someday is going to win you a big match. And that's how it happens. I mean, the studs will always be the studs, but it's the other kids that you need to win the match.
Yeah, so, and Donnie, we've talked about it, that in the context of, like, the overall state of wrestling in, high school sports right now, where you have, I think, and I've said this a zillion times, I think the caliber of the top wrestler is as good, if not better, than it has ever been in New Jersey. It's what you're missing is that kid, and I'm not talking about any specific team, but I think in general, what we're missing is that kid that you grab out of the hallway, you throw in the room, you get him, you teach him the ropes, and maybe he stays off. First, he starts off staying off his back. Then he, saves you a couple team points here or there, and then he gets you that big win. And I think those are the kids that are missing, that make, when I show up to go to a match and there's 6 forfeits, you know what I mean? But if you're able to find them and throw them out there, like Tommy's doing, like they're doing at Westwood, like North Bergen has done for many years, I think that's where we need to get wrestling back to.
What makes New Jersey wrestling so great is also it's its pro and its con. So some of the kids have gotten so good, it's basically like the economy. You have very rich people and you have very poor people, and there's less and less middle class. So it's kind of how wrestling is. Years ago, like you said, you can go in the hallway, get a football player out, a good athlete, teach him a couple things, he's athletic, and, maybe at the end of the year he takes third in the district for you. And back then that didn't go to the region.
Right.
And he would win you some dual meets. But today, the sport is getting so technical where kids are wrestling year-round. You have to wrestle all year round just to stay up with the Joneses. Mm-hmm. Just to stay above average, you have to wrestle year-round. So to pull a kid out and a kid to have success and not get down on himself and say, forget this, and lose a match after match is very rare today, in my book. Does it still happen? Of course it does.
Yep.
But it's still rare today, unlike years ago where you could do that. If you're a wrestling coach, you go in the hall and you try to find these great athletes and talk them into coming out, and maybe within a year or two, there's some success and they're helping the team out. But again, that's very hard today. It's such a hard sport where the kids who go out and lose time after time again, they're like, what am I doing this for? It's just so much put into this sport. And if you're not getting anything out of it, and it's tough on those type of kids.
Go ahead, Ryan.
I think that's the biggest part what Donnie's saying about, these guys saying, I'm putting some, effort in and I'm used to being a pretty good athlete. But I know because I play 2 other sports or I play another sport that's my main sport, I don't have the time to catch up to these guys. And maybe they're not willing to put in the work that it would take to get there. Or maybe they just don't have the time because they are a 3-sport athlete and wrestling's number 3. So it's not, like you said, you don't get those middle kids that are going to fight off the back.
Brian, I got a question for you building off of that, though.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, we scrimmaged you, and I was in the room, and you had good numbers. I don't know who else you scrimmaged, but I sort of see numbers from the teams Tommy scrimmaged and what I saw, and I need your opinion on this. I see numbers coming back a little here. Did you see the numbers coming back a little or not?
Our numbers, personally, our numbers are the highest they've been in a long time. Now, you're going to have to ask me again in 3 weeks and see where we're at after the holiday and after kids get used to the sport. Are they going to stick it out? But, it's a little bit different feel where I am because, unfortunately, we haven't had a large rec contingent and a large parent involvement, which is starting to also change for the better, which is nice. So we've depended on those freshmen or those 8th graders that we pull out of the hallway to come and wrestle. A couple of the other teams that we've scrimmaged also had bigger teams, not greatly bigger teams, but a little bit of an improvement. I think it's just getting the kids to stick with it. But I do worry about what Donnie said is where the kids that are very good and wrestling 11 months of the year are starting to pull away, and that's it's great for them and they're earning everything. But it's pushing away that middle kid that maybe is good at other sports and knows for him to put in that work to be 8-8 or 12-12. Maybe in his head it's not worth it.
All right, let's go back to teams. Donnie, you gave me Emerson Park Ridge. Ryan gave me Westwood. I gave you Pasco Valley. Give me another team that people should be watching.
I'm dumbfounded. I really don't know. I mean,
yeah, Blair Academy, right?
Yeah, it's too early to tell. It's too early to tell. I really don't know what's out there. I mean, you guys are more aware what's out there right now.
Yeah.
Ryan, give me one.
Who?
Ryan, give me one.
I got
Kenny, you can't ask a question and then answer your own question. Let Ryan go. Go ahead, Ryan.
I got 2 out, a little bit out of the area here, but teams that the local teams will see once they get to the state sectionals. And one is Jefferson. They're loaded from 52 to heavyweight. There's one weight in there where they're a little bit weaker, but they're pretty loaded up. And they have 3 or 4.
What group are they? What group are they this year, Ryan?
Jefferson should be Group 3, I believe.
Okay, all right.
Group 2 or Group 3? Now I got to check it now. And then you got also West Essex, who we saw this weekend at Mawa. They won the Mawa tournament, and I wouldn't say any superstars, but they were very deep, and they were 11 underclassmen out of the 13 that they entered in the tournament. So those are 2 teams that you might not see on your schedule. I mean, I know we see Jefferson. We normally see West Essex, but with the regions changing, we don't have them this year. But those are 2 teams that I think you'll see in the state sectionals. And Jefferson is loaded up, and West Essex is just very deep, and their lineup just keeps coming at you. So I think those are 2 teams that you'll see very successful this year.
Yeah, and we should branch out. Maybe we'll try to get one of those coaches on as the season goes on.
You know what it is? You have so many teams out there that have a couple hammer-type kids, individuals on their team, and you don't know at this early stage what the rest of the team's going to look like. I mean, you can go through each team in Bergen County, and each team has, one or two, three, four hammers on their team. So it's just hard to see what else that they have.
Go ahead.
Excuse me?
You got to look at Fairlawn. I mean, Shane's built it up the last 4 years.
Fairlawn, and I'll tell you what, Dumont's been building also.
Fairlawn?
I've seen them a lot at a lot of summer competitions this year. The Dumont kids, the Manginelli brothers, or they look like hammers this year.
And
There's
Vitri.
a little Vitri there too now.
Yeah, Vitri had a great year on the football field. They saw Dumont twice this year, and
So I think you're going to see Fairlawn. I think you're going to see Dumont. I think Fairlawn's ahead of Dumont. I think you're also going to see Paramus. I mean, they got Kaiser. I mean, he's still got, Paramus is still Paramus. Let's not forget them.
Yep.
So, I mean, I think those are the teams you're going to see around doing a great job. Ryan, you got anybody else you're thinking of?
Well, Kenny, wait. Let's do this. Let's do this. We'll get into some wrestlers to watch after, but why don't we, before we get too deep into this conversation, bring in our guest for this evening before we get too far away from the first weekend of high school wrestling that just passed. We'll talk to him, and then we could even talk about some of the local tournaments that went on. But without further ado, let's welcome in our first guest of the season, the brand new season, Season 8 of the Wrestling Show. He is Bergen Catholic sophomore Nick Kayal, kind enough to join us this evening. Nick, thanks for taking some time on the Wrestling Show.
Thank you for having me.
It is our pleasure, and I am glad that we were able to get you this week. We had some technical difficulties last night, so the news is one day older, but still very important, because over the weekend, a first-place finish in the 106-pound weight class of the Beast of the East tournament. Listen, that type of result is going to raise a lot of eyebrows, not only around the state, but up and down the East Coast. Just talk about that experience.
It was awesome. Got a chance to wrestle first tournament of the season. Haven't gone on the mat in a while, just training in the off season. So it was good to get out there and show what I could do this year at 106. People thought wouldn't be able to get down to weight, but I was able to do it, wrestle strong, and wrestle well.
Kenny, go ahead.
You know what, Nick? You just led me into an interesting question. Here it is. Those other teams have all wrestled already. It's only the Jersey guys who come late to the party. What goes into your preparation for that, so that you're going to be in tournament ready? One of the toughest tournaments in the country is your first outing. What's your mindset when you go into that tournament, and what's that first match like for you?
Practice started in November, going hard, conditioning wise, getting ready since I haven't wrestled in a while. So treadmill work, live goes in practice, like a lot of build up to the tournament, but once you start going, it's just like another day, like last season didn't end. It just starts over.
Go ahead, Rye. Oh, no, Kenny, you want to follow up? Go ahead.
I want to follow up. So when you get out there on that first match, are you going aggressively, or are you feeling the other guy out first? I want kids to understand how a guy who wrestles at your level approaches something like that.
First match, Coach Brian and Donnie told me to go out there aggressive, get the first takedown, get in the guy's face, and go to work right away on top. Got the first match, I pinned my kid in 40 seconds, so got out there, takedown fast, and just went to work right away.
Okay, Ryan, you're up.
Hey, Nick. Congrats on the Beast title.
Thank you.
When you're at a tournament like this, where you're, mostly away from your area, obviously a bunch of New Jersey schools there, do you feel less pressure, or do you feel more comfortable because you know that you can just go out there and it's just up to what you're doing? You're not worried about scouting your opponent or worried about what they do, that you're able to concentrate on what Nick Kayal does?
Yeah, coach is asking me who I have, what seed. Just say, I don't know. Going, before a match, warming up, who you got, I don't know. Just preparing the way I should, not worrying about the other guy does. Have another coach watch him wrestle, they scout him out for me. Tell me what to prepare to do, and just go out and execute the plan.
That's great. And now, being in a room that you're in Bergen Catholic, do you feel that you always have to be at the top of your game? So when you get places like the Beast of the East or the Bergen County Tournament or districts or regions, whatever it may be, do you feel that you're already on such a high level that you don't really have to change anything, that it's just a competitive spot alone to get in the lineup, no less, to go out there and compete in tournaments? Do you feel like you get out there and you're already at the high level, ready to go?
Absolutely. Got a lot of top-ranked kids in the room already. So wrestling them is just like wrestling a tournament, probably even better sometimes. So that definitely prepares me for some of the tournaments like Beast and district, regions, states at the end of the year. Doc Buchanan and all those.
Awesome. What age? I know you're still young. What age do you think you turned the corner in wrestling, and obviously in rec or wherever you were before Bergen? What age do you think that things changed for you, where it became you weren't just wrestling, that you were a wrestler and this is what you were going to do?
Probably around the age 12, 11, 13, when I started going to club and coaches training me to get better on top. Really helps out my wrestling game a lot. Be able to get points on top or just prevent the guy from scoring points helps a long shot in wrestling nowadays, and that's kind of where I turned and started to place higher in tournaments and wrestle better.
Awesome, Nick. Thanks.
Yeah, Donnie, let me ask you, Donnie, while we have Nick on the line here. You know, you guys jump right out of the box. You go down to this Beast of the East. I mean, I remember when you first started going down there, you know, at that time you didn't really know what to expect. Now you do. Your kids in the room do. And you know, I guess my question is winning the Beast of the East as tough as winning a state championship? I'm just trying to get a sense of the competition because, you know, right out of the gates, start of the season, head down there and get as many good matches as you can. Because, you know, where would you put it as far as trying to win a state championship and trying to win a Beast of the East title?
Well, I'll give you an example. Over the last couple of years, Shane Griffin, so far, is a two-time state champ. He never won a Beast of the East title.
There's the answer.
Also, you had two-time state champs each, Joe Grello and Kevin Mulligan. Neither of them were able to win a Beast of the East title. I mean, the list goes on. So I think that kind of tells you what type of tournament that is with the competition that's there. You know?
I know Nicky Soriano won. Has anybody else from Bergen won before your guy this year?
Before Bergen? It's a good question. I think the same year Nicky won, Johnny Sebastian also won.
Oh, right.
A title down there.
Chris Foca.
I'm sorry, yes. Well, he has before, yeah. Chris Foca also. He won his freshman year.
That's crazy.
So we've had a couple champs. We've been lucky to have a couple champs down there, but the competition is just fierce. Even this year, one of the top 5 teams in the nation came up for the first time, Lake Highland Prep. They're out of Florida. They flew up for the tournament. So it even added to the number 1 team being there, Blair Academy. So, I mean, that just tells you the competition right there. You have to face the number 1 team in the nation every year that's there. And mix in with some of the other big top teams in the nation, and, you know, it makes for an unbelievable tournament. There was a total of 121 teams there.
Donnie, real quick, the other New Jersey teams that were there?
New Jersey really represented really well. I mean, you can go through the list of the kids that placed. It was incredible. Hanover, Del Barton finished 5th. Team scoring, they had a great tournament. Hanover Park represented well at one time. I think they were like 7th in the team standings at one time during one of the rounds. So, you know, the list goes on. Camden Catholic and so on. Pope John did really well down there also. Pope John's really coming on lately. They're building some program over there. So New Jersey really represented very well. I was talking to the tournament director, and he was saying this was the 25th anniversary of the Beast of the East this year, and he was telling me from the beginning how he was always trying to get New Jersey teams to come, and he didn't have any Jersey teams in the beginning, and Bergen was one of the first teams. You know, years ago, Dave Bell wanted to go into the tournament, and, you know, he knew how prestigious the tournament was, and the competition was fierce, and would just help the wrestlers. So the tournament director said that New Jersey was just incredible, starting to get teams to come in and add to the type of competition. I just personally think that it's made the state even better than than what it was.
Let's ask Nick now. You know, Nick, now you have this prestigious honor of winning. And it's cool, Donnie. Is it the Beast that gives you the coin afterwards?
Yeah.
Yes. So the official, the coin flip that he uses in each match, the red and the green coin, is actually, there's one reserved for each weight class. And it'll say 106 Beast of the East champ on it, 106 pounds. So if you win your weight class, you're presented that coin that's used during the coin flip, which is pretty cool. That's unique.
Yeah, Nick, talk about that. I mean, that's a pretty unique gift, and I'm sure, you know, in the grand scheme of things, it's just a coin, but what it represents has to be pretty good for your wherever you keep your trophy pile.
Yeah, when I shook hands, went to go walk off the mat, and the ref called me back and handed it to me, it was kind of like showing me what I actually just did. It was like setting in my head that I actually won. And that really shows, and it will show in the future. Just a good memory.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, last one from me here. Now, you know, the euphoria of that so early in the season, but you got a lot of matches to wrestle here. How do you bring yourself down to earth and, you know, now it's starting the charge towards the Doc Buchanan, the state tournament down the road. I mean, you know, no reason for the George Giacchis BCCA holiday tournament. I mean, that's out, Bergen Catholic nowadays. But you got a lot ahead of you. How do you put this one behind you and just say, okay, it was a nice accomplishment, but now I got to hit the grind?
Yesterday, no practice. Gave us like a good recovery day. Coaches gave us a good day off. Today, went right back to practice, wrestling hard, drilling with partners, and still not even thinking about last weekend, and just trying to get better, preparing for Doc Buchanan and states in the future.
Good stuff. Kenny, got anything else?
Yeah, I just want to, Nick, as a young kid, what does it mean to you? And because this year, let's also touch on this, we'll talk about it more later, you guys are having it, Bergen Catholic, on January 13th. Donnie, correct me if I'm wrong, the Who's Number One tournament. What does Bergen Catholic give to you as a young wrestler in terms of Doc Buchanan, Who's Number One, Beast of the East? What does that mean to you as an athlete, as a competitor, and as a young man?
It gives me the chance to travel different places around the country, be able to make friends with the team, create like a brotherhood with the school promotes and the wrestling team. And these tournaments just make the state tournament at the end of the season seem just like any other day in the practice room, at a dual match, in a tournament, and it just prepares you all for the end.
Very good. You're a nice young man.
Yeah, how about you, Rye?
Thank
Another
you.
one? Last one?
I'm good. Good luck this year, Nick. Good luck with your weight, too.
Thank you.
You know, guys, one of the questions you asked Nick is how do you move on? You know, are you going to sit back on your laurels?
Yeah.
Well, with our schedule, I don't think there's any time to sit back. I mean, next week we'll flying out to California to the Doc Buchanan. A week or two after that's Who's Number One, where the number one team and the number two team in the nation will be there, plus others. I mean, you know, Wyoming Seminary, another dual meet. The list goes on with St. Ed's in Ohio. So I don't think there's any, you know, no real kid in the room has any time to rest on his laurels. It's just a grind, you know, tournament after tournament, match after match, and, you know, you just leave it behind. You look back, it's a great accomplishment, and it's time to move on. So
Yeah, and Nick,
just how it is.
Yeah, Nick, from your point of view, I mean, that's got to be why you went to Bergen, you know?
Yeah, great opportunity to just get better at wrestling and help me prepare for college as well.
Yeah. Yeah, well, you are the latest in a long line of Bergen Catholic guests that we've had on over the years. Another articulate guest. We appreciate it. And again, congratulations on the great accomplishment of winning the Beast of the East, and good luck going forward. I'm sure we'll be talking to you again as the season goes forward.
Thank you.
Well, good stuff there with Nick Kayal, the Beast of the East champion from Bergen Catholic. Donnie, congratulations to him, to you, to the entire crowd over at Bergen Catholic. And if Tommy were here, he would say, Kenny?
BC, I love BC.
Yes, he would. He would absolutely say that. Let's just talk quickly. Let's move on now. Obviously, the guy we just had on the phone is a wrestler to watch this season. we'll go around the room here. And, again, it's early on. We know some names, but there will be many to emerge as the season goes along. Donnie, how about in your travels, both in the summer and with your, very close associations around North Jersey, how about some of the kids that we should look out for? Anybody pop out off the top of your head?
Cedeno from Fairlawn.
Yes.
He didn't have. He had. He's ranked in the nation last year. He had a good season, but just didn't turn out that well for him at state time. I think he's gonna come back with a vengeance this year. Sammy Alvarez, another wrestler from St. Joe's, another kid to look out for. I mean, you can go on and on. I mean, Bergen County's got a lot of good kids individually.
Yep.
So it's just, like I said, the list is long. We can be here all day, but it'll pan out. We'll see as the season goes on.
Well, let's stay here all day. It's Season 8, Episode 1 of The Wrestling Show. What else you got to do, Donnie? Right. How about you? A little bit south. Hudson County is technically in the area of NorthJerseySports.com coverage. How about guys from your perspective?
Well, I got two guys I saw this weekend, but they're actually Bergen County.
Okay.
They're a little bit closer to me, but they're the brothers in Dumont, and that's the Manginellis. They're at Joe is 120, Gianni 126. They're very talented last year, very physical, but this year they look like they got shot out of a cannon. I was able to talk to Mike Rooney, the head coach over at Dumont, and he mentioned how much hard work they've put in since April 1st of this year. And Fargo, they both went 5-2 in Fargo. They were in Greco. They were in freestyle down there. They also were at the Virginia Duels, a couple different camps. I know Mike had a couple different college coaches in to run camps at Dumont. So they were very good last year. I think they're both going to have great years. They look a little bit more technical, more physical, if that's even possible, with the way they were last year. But and he mentioned how good of kids they are. So those are the two that I'm looking at, and they got a couple other guys on that team, but those guys were very impressive this weekend, and it earned the slightly smaller brother Joe, the MOW at the tournament we were at.
Yes, and Mike Rooney, a great guest last year, and we had him on the Wrestling Show. I am looking forward to his return engagement later on this season. All right, Kenny, it's now time for you to shine, the moment that everybody waits for on the Wrestling Show. Let me play this short introduction.
And now it is time for the segment that is sweeping the high school wrestling world. A segment so confounding, so creative, and so calculated that it often leaves our panel speechless or pleading the fifth. It's Ken Sarajan's Coach's Question of the Week.
All right. It's a surprise question. You guys get to pick A or B, Ryan and Donnie. Give me one team that no one is thinking about that will surprise everyone this year. Or give me one wrestler that no one knows about that they better watch. He might be a freshman. He might be a kid who's ready to make his move. I want either a wrestler no one knows about or a team nobody knows about.
Who wants to go first?
Where's the team been, in a cave? I mean, no one knows about it.
Come on, the team that's ready to make its move.
What are they, under the witness protection program, this team,
Right.
that no one knows about?
Bergen, is it Bergen Charter, Kenny? Is that
with.
the answer? Is it Bergen? Ryan, do you have a wrestler or a team that no one has ever heard of that's going to come out of the woodwork?
Come on, the people don't know that they're going to be good as they're going to be.
I got a wrestler.
Go ahead.
All right, I got a freshman for you, and he didn't even win the tournament this weekend, but he was the best guy at his weight. He had a big lead in the semifinals, and he got caught and pinned, and he came back to take third. And I just watching him wrestle, he was way ahead of the competition. His name is Carson Barry. He's a 106-pounder for West Essex. And in speaking with Mike Markey, coach over there at West Essex, he mentioned how Carson had never placed in kids' states, did not win his league championship, his league tournament, last year as an 8th grader. And it's kind of, sparked a little bit of extra fire in him. He's been wrestling a long time. He just doesn't have the credentials. And he's put in the work since the season ended last year. and he's a big frame kid. Easily looks like a 13 or a 20 pounder. He made it down there at 6. Like I said, they have a deep lineup, so I know they have a couple 6-pounders that were, one of them was forced to go up to 13. But Carson was very impressive, long, great on top, and really wrestled awesome all day. Just had probably a little mental lapse. He's a young kid and got caught up by Huffnagel from Cliffside Park. But at the time, he was leading about 7-2, 8-2. And I think he's a guy that you can watch this year, and I think he's going to make a name for himself probably by middle of January.
Kenny, I thought your question of the week was going to be an absolute bust. And then Ryan Burdett, the guy who took the Ricky chair, comes up with Carson Barry from West Essex. Exactly the type of answer that you were looking for. I had never heard of him. Donnie, would you like to answer the question, or are you going to take a pass?
Ryan came up with something, because I have nothing.
I knew you were going to say that. I will speak for Donnie when I say watch out for Blair Academy. They could be good this year. The Wrestling Show, Season 8, Episode 1, in the books, but we got a lot of ground to cover this year. We will do it next week. We are going to, we'll be back at full strength. Tommy Gallione, maybe even an appearance by the great Mike Atanasio if we can swing it. We are going to talk about, we'll preview the Bergen County Coaches Association George Jockish Holiday Tournament, which is rapidly approaching. And we're going to talk about some of the new rule changes and things that will be that might look a little bit different on the mat. We'll have a referee on to discuss some of those changes. Kenny, what am I missing in previewing next week's show?
No, you got it. We're going to have the BCCA, and we're going to have a referee to talk about the new rules so that the parents who know everything will know less and realize that when the kid's getting pinned, he really is getting pinned. So.
All that and more. We'll see you next week on The Wrestling Show.
Follow the leader.